Secret of the Andes by Anne Nolan Clark. Chapter 16. Keeper of the Fields. Forget us not, although we are few in number. The sunrise call rose on the wings of morning, on the wings of sound. Forget us not, although our ancient greatness is now but a shadow in the memory of man. Sweet as a night bird's calling, clear as a day bird's song, the words soared and swelled in the misted morning, blending their rhythm with the rhythm of colors in the sunrise sky. Forget us not, although our ancient pride is as the dust of the earth, blown before the willful wind. How good, how right it felt to be again where the sun, in its glory, could be greeted with freedom, with voice, with gesture, in the way that was part of the pattern of living. Keep our feet straight in thy path, for we are thy children. The old Indian finished, his head thrown back, his throat pulsing with the heartbeats of his emotions. Cusi repeated after him, for we are thy children, O son, great father of the Inca. We are thy children. Cusi looked around, surprised at the stillness that veiled the meadow he and his llamas had reached after traveling all night long. Then the old Indian, giving the sunrise call, greeted Cusi. He was a stranger to Cusi. I saw you coming, you and your llamas, but I could not wait to greet you. The sun came just then. You and the sun came into the new day together. It is a good omen. Cusi laughed. Gone was his shyness of a week ago. He felt happy, so happy, that everything else seemed unimportant. Now he said, natural and serious and quietly glad, I am a good omen. I know it. You see, I am going home. The Indian looked at him for a long time, saying nothing. But the silence was not heavy. It was restful and right, as everything about this new day seemed restful and right. Cusi returned the old man's gaze frankly and with interest. He saw a thin old Indian, bent with the years and the vigor of living. The brown face was wrinkled with age, but the hair above it was black as a young man's, and the black eyes were young and bright and keen. Then Cusi started and looked again. Massive, heavy gold earplugs hung from the man's ears, lengthening the earlobes to fantastic length. The man nodded. Yes, he said. Although the answer was short, it carried a wealth of meaning. The man's simple yes told Cusi, I am one of them. As you are, we belong. A month ago, Cusi would have tortured his mind, asking himself, who are they? To whom do we belong? Why do a few of us wear them? Now, such questions seemed unimportant. After another time of silence, the man spoke. You have been to Cuzco. Did you bring the golden sandals back with you? Yes. It was Cusi's turn to answer simply. The man seemed satisfied with the answer, as Cusi had been. Cusi looked around. Misty and the two yellow-brown llamas were standing patiently, their loads gently swaying on their backs. Although they had traveled during the night, they had gone slowly and rested often. They did not seem tired, but Cusi wanted to unload their packs and to feed them. He was standing in a meadow of ichu grass. To one side stretched wide fields of corn and beans. Between the fields and the meadow grass, a mountain rivulet tumbled along, mountain peaks piled high around them. They crowded close into the meadow and the fields, looking down with friendliness and protection. As if satisfied with what his searching look had found, the old man said, Bring them before my hut. I will help you unload them, that they may rest and eat. Misty, understanding the man's tone, or perhaps Cusi's nod of acceptance, turned and led the others across the grass. across the narrow stream to the hut in the field. Kusi and the old man followed. The man was talkative now. They call me keeper of the fields, his fields. Chuto and I, and you too, perhaps, follow the same trail. To Kusi's look of surprise, the Indian explained, I know him as I know you, as I knew you had gone down the mountain trail to Cuzco. Suddenly, Kusi too wanted to talk to this keen, understanding old man. After the llamas had been unloaded and left to feed and to rest in the Ichu meadow, the young boy sat before the old man and talked to him. White clouds floated up against the blue sky, resting their heads on the high peak tops. The little river babbled and sang on its way to join big rivers. Kusi looked at the bright running water, and then he said, I hope the little river stays here in the lonely mountains so men won't capture it and hide it under streetways. As if the words had unlocked the door to his heart, Kusi talked on. He told the old one many things, of his loneliness in Hidden Valley, of his wanting to know the answers to questions that never were answered, of his longing to be part of a family, and finally, of the finding of the golden sandals and his journey to Cuzco. I found a family there, he finished, or rather, they found me, but I felt it was not true. I felt it was make-believe. They were not my family. I could not make them so. And the sandals, did you bring them with you? The Indian asked again. Yes, it was the sandals that made me know they could not be my family. I could not share them. If it had been Chuto who needed them, or Misty, I could have given them because the boy struggled for the right word and suddenly leaped to his feet, his eyes black and deep with his excitement. They would have had a right to them because we are part of each other. We are a family. We belong to one another, and everything we have can be shared together. Kusi stood still and tense. There was the answer. What he had been looking for had been his. He had not known it. He had almost lost it. He had almost gone away, leaving all that mattered behind him. But I guess deep in my heart I knew, he said aloud, because when I traded for one thing at the market, I always traded for two knitted caps, 2 pairs of cotton trousers, 2 alpaca sweaters. Always one for Chuto, one for me. The old man was laughing softly. Of course you knew, but you had to find out that you knew. You will get your heart's desire. He quoted, grieve not if your searching circles. Oh, Kusi cried, oh, I understand now. My trail circles back to Hidden Valley, to where I belong. The old one pointed skyward. It was midday. Kusi had talked away the hours of morning. But you did not waste them, Kusi. Their coming was a spring thaw in a mountain river. The ice in your heart has melted. The flood of your feeling has washed clean your lifeway of its deadwood of misunderstanding. Misty's llama bell tinkled impatiently. It is time that you take the trail again, the old man said kindly. I will help you load your llamas and find the way. I know the trail, Kusi told him. I traveled it not many days ago. The Indian shook his head. A landslide wiped it away. Almost half a mountain slid down into the valley where the trail forked. No, it cannot be. It must not be. That would mean the Aleut town was gone, and the woman who fed me, who called me son. Kusi stared with unbelieving eyes. Perhaps, year by year, our number grows fewer. The Inca will never die, Kusi returned hotly. While one of us remains, the other added, and a pool of silence widened as his words dropped heavily into the past that waits to hold words that have been said. The Indian sighed. Forget us not, he repeated softly, and it was a farewell to those of his blood who had gone in the trail of no returning. Kusi felt a need for getting home, for being safe again with those he loved and those who loved him, safe again in Hidden Valley. Misty came closer. His sad black eyes were fixed with devotion on his young master's face. He, too, felt the need of hurry. Time passes, the old man said, and went first across the field, across the babbling river, across the ichu grass, and in among the dwarfed trees that crowded close together in the folds of the hills at the foot of the mountains. Kusi followed him, and, as was their way, the llamas marched behind in haughty fashion. When the shadows of evening fell with purple softness over the bleakness of the bare brown mountains, the keeper of the fields said goodbye to the highland shepherd. This is for Chuto, he said, handing Kusi an ear of corn. It is from the lake, he said, meaning Lake Titicaca, the sacred lake of the ancient Inca. Chuto will prize it. And this is for you. Learn to make it talk, and its voice will heal your heart's loneliness. It was a long, reed-like flute that Highland people used to sing to themselves and to their flocks. Kusi was pleased. It was the first gift that anyone had ever given him. And he felt the sting of tears in his eyes. Today has been the greatest day of your life, for you have learned to read your own heart. With that, the old man turned and went back over the trail he had come. He was lost quickly in the purple shadows, and only his memory remained, like the small glow of an evening campfire. Kusi went on. His llamas followed. Somewhere a night bird chirped his evening prayer. Somewhere an old man sat by the blackened chips of a supper fire. Chuto, waiting. Night closed in, thick and still, mysterious and cold. Bright stars twinkled down, and a pale moon on a lonely trail. A young boy slept by 3 tired llamas. In a lonely valley at the glacier edge, Sunka, the dog, howled. The llamas did not hum. Even the wind was still. The keeper of the fields walked on slowly. His feet knew this trail. He would not rest until he sat again before the door of his hut, before the fields of beans and corn. He stopped to listen, to peer into the black night shadows. Yes, someone was coming. He had expected it. A shadow was beside him, blacker than the night shadows that lurked among the dwarfed trees. The shadow spoke. Did he come this way? Yes. Is he going back to his valley? Yes. What did you tell him? Nothing. Chuto is waiting. Chuto is waiting. Chuto, who has done his work well. You too, keeper of the fields, keeper of the Inca's children. The seeds you plant grow the food of the ancients. Our Inca commends you. The old man bowed his head. I but keep his fields, so that those who pass by need not go hungry on their way. In his name I feed them. In his name you keep the links of the chain together. The shadow was gone. The old one walked alone. He was tired. He was lonely. He was getting old. Who would come to mend the chain when he had gone to be among his ancients, he wondered. Then he remembered Kusi, and strength returned to him. Warmth returned, comforting his heart. Not yet. are we conquered. The Inca shall never die. Before him lay the meadow of ichu grass, and beyond it the little river, and then the fields of corn. He, keeper of the fields, was home again.